Hello friends and welcome to the Weekend Catch-Up Club, the coffee morning show brought to you live every Saturday direct to Facebook and Twitch and available later on demand at podcast services and youtube.com/gamertagged. Today I am joined by an incredibly special guest. It is the producer on Fable at Playground Games, Nareice Jade Wint. Welcome Nareice, and how are you?
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I'm good, thanks. It's a little bit too hot here at the moment in the UK, but yes, trying to deal with it.
We are. I think we're going through a bit of a global warming heat wave at the moment. That's what it feels like anyway.
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know what it's like for you, but whenever I try and open up the windows, I just get loads of flies and moths coming in. So it's a case of opening up just a little bit. It's like the windows are on night latches or something. And gotta keep a fan there as well, just to make sure like nothing comes in this unwanted.
I literally know your pain at the moment. I've actually got 2 cats and they're always trying to escape out the windows. So I'm constantly trying to get out of my seat, trying to stop the cats from getting out there. But I also need that wind coming in as well. It's God, it's effort at the moment.
Like, what is going on? I know. So I've got a fan in practically every single room because any listeners or viewers that are maybe not familiar with the UK, we do not have air conditioning in our houses. Sometimes you get them in offices and things like that, but not in residential properties usually. So when there's a heat wave, it is constant sweating, constant irritation, and it's usually just a fan that can circulate the hot air and give you a little bit of a reprieve, but it's usually not that fun.
I actually ended up going to the cinema yesterday just so I could mainly get the aircon, and it was amazing. I actually felt cold when I came outside. It was brilliant.
That's a really good idea. Just like a way to get people back into the cinema could be this new marketing drive of just to get the air conditioning, and that's
Definitely.
all. Yeah. So things are going okay for you just now?
Yeah, everything's going well. I think just like everyone else, just dealing with the pandemic. But yeah, I mean, I'm still alive, so that's the main thing. Yeah. And, I'm still able to do my work and everything like that. So I feel pretty grateful for that. Everything's going well.
Awesome. That's obviously great to hear. It seems to be like all of my friends and things that I've spoken to that are in game dev and other industries as well, they seem to be pretty well supported by being able to work from home, getting lots of support where they need it. And it seems to be not too bad of a process, and it seems to be, I mean, we're 18 months into the process now. It's like it's easy sailing, like it's like super smooth now. It's not an issue.
I mean, I don't want to talk for the IT teams out there because I can't even imagine their struggle, but I think definitely when you're an employee in the games industry, like now at this time, it's definitely a lot more smooth sailing. And the places where I've worked during the pandemic as well, like just really easy to have been set up for to work from home. So yeah, luckily we don't have to do much, but I do really feel for the IT teams.
It must be pretty frustrating where just getting connected to various like servers and doing tech troubleshooting for remote purposes as well. It must be pretty stressful and pretty hard going for those guys. Yeah. So shout out to the tech teams out there.
Thank you.
So Nareice, please tell us all about yourself, what you do at Playground Games, the life of a producer, and of course you have, is it Miami Avalon as a studio that's yours as well? I want to hear all about that, and of course your journey into the games industry, what got you started straight from university, and like that first role in QA and QA testing, and how did it all transpire and lead up to where you are now? I'll let you have the floor.
I guess I'll just say where I am at the moment, which is like Playground. So yeah, I actually started out at Playground last year, November. I'm actually an associate producer. Recently, Playground have promoted me as well, which is amazing. They are an amazing company to work for, and the project as well is amazing too. Really like one of my childhood dream projects. Sometimes I have to pinch myself to be like, oh my God, I'm working on this, it's amazing. And I guess being a producer at Playground Games as well is basically just pushing people into meetings, and then I'm just kind of like taking notes and actioning them and stuff. Just like looking out for my teams really, and making sure they've got everything that they need. That's like basically the main job role as a producer. To making sure everyone's happy as well. That's Sorry,
I can imagine that's pretty challenging, making sure everybody is okay and everybody is happy. There's always got to be somebody who's not quite happy.
I mean, I think being a producer can sometimes be a bit challenging. You could like definitely try and make everyone happy, you know. And I think sometimes producers forget about to look after themselves as well. I've always kind of struggled with that, you know, because wherever I work and I want to give like 110% to that project. But yeah, you have to make sure you take time for yourself. But, you know, I think everyone who ever works within the games industry, everyone's always been just amazing. Like I'm quite, I guess, like new to AAA at the moment by working at Playground. And I've always been asking everyone like so many questions, like, what does this mean? And like, you know, like, what do I need to do here as producer and stuff? And everyone's been really like accommodating as well, which is really helpful when you need to help them out. You need to be able to ask your team questions so that you can understand and push things forward as well. That's really important as a producer. So never be afraid to ask any questions.
That's such a key for anybody going into any role and any kind of company culture, as well as like the communication between the teams, not being afraid to just ask questions and try and learn as much as you can, but knowing that the people that you are asking are going to be super accommodating with their knowledge and making sure that you know what you need to know in order to smooth the process out and make everything kind of like gel and work as it needs to work.
Definitely. I think at the end of the day, everybody wants everyone to know everything so that everyone can contribute on making this amazing game as well. But it's good. Everyone in the games industry is really nice and friendly, which is really helpful.
I got to admit, I'm insanely jealous because not only is of course Playground Games now regarded as one of the jewels in British game dev, but also the Xbox stable of first party studios. But you get to work on Fable. That is just so awesome. I mean, talk about the quintessential, British humor video game franchise from originally obviously Lionhead Studios. I'm so jealous. That must be so much fun. And
it's a dream, literally.
So producing any kind of AAA game, any real project of any particular size, is it about making sure that everybody is kind of coordinated and aligned, making sure that there's no bottlenecks, there's nothing really kind of getting in the way? What is the I guess the specific role of the producer on a big project such as Fable?
I guess try not to go into too much detail about it is one of the big things. Are I guess like making sure that all the risks that are associated with a project are just kind of dealt with as well as possible, and that's like a really big thing for a producer. So like no matter if a project's big or small, every project has risks that you have to kind of tackle with the whole team. And I think it's basically the producer's job to kind of identify that, but working with directors and leads to help identify those as well. So did you start there during lockdown, or were you there before everything kind of like kicked off and everybody had to work remotely? I actually started during the lockdown, which has felt super strange because I really love like meeting my colleagues and I love becoming friends with them and everything. And it's not as easy because you can't just walk up to someone and just be like, hey, want to grab a coffee together and stuff. I guess you can sort of do that by just ringing someone up, but it's a bit,
it's not the same, is it, at all?
It's definitely not the same. But luckily I've been able to kind of go down to Leamington and see the office and see a couple of people as well, which was really fun. But also I was so nervous. So I've been talking to these people for a good couple of months, and then now I've seen everyone in person. But it was really exciting though as well. It's really cool.
How much did you squeal when you saw the offices? I'm curious.
Like I walked in and everything has to obviously be like COVID secure and everything.
Yeah.
But I forgot about it for 1 second. I was like just looking around going, oh my God, this is so cool. And I was like, okay, wait. Okay, you need to do like what you actually came here for.
Yeah, you got to be professional. We can't geek out all the time.
Have to be professional.
That is awesome. But it's also fascinating because, onboarding with any company starting during this kind of craziness time of lockdown and everything, it's not something that is often talked about, like what is the process like, because it is, as you said, you can't usually like the way my work normally would work is if there's a new hire, then you would maybe get assigned to them to be like a quote unquote like buddy to show them the ropes, to show them where things are, different processes within the company, just show them around, introduce them to various team members and stuff like that, and kind of get them onboarded. But obviously, you can't do that virtually, or you maybe can, but it's a totally different process. And I just find that like so weird and so daunting for anybody who wants to take the next step into, either it's the start of their career or they're moving to continue their career, whatever the circumstances may be. But the whole onboarding process is so different and so weird. And then, you've got that other added pressure of the typical 6 month or 3 month, whatever it may be, like probationary period as well.
Yeah.
And you're still kind of stressed about that, but you're stressed about not connecting with your colleagues, with the different departments, stuff like that. Are you still doing like as good a job as what you would have been doing had you been in, the office with that kind of support structure? It's so like scary and also but like fascinating and daunting as well for people. And I can only imagine what it must be like for yourself and for others. It's like, am I putting my best foot forward here when I'm behind a screen and behind a camera to do my job the best that I know that I can do it, or want to kind of grow into being able to do it? Has that been pretty smooth for you?
I think so. Yeah, I think it has been pretty smooth. I think, I guess like the only thing is just like, I have all those exact worries of just, am I doing my job good enough as like what I would be doing in the studio? I think like you have like conversations that can just be done in basically 10 minutes. But instead, you're having to do it online, which is like just completely different.
Sure.
which is so different when you can't see people's faces and you don't know the tone of what people are sending messages in as well. That can always make things very difficult. But I've definitely like been able to connect with a couple of people like by having like socials as such and events that the company have done, which has like really helped actually. So I actually was able to do a quiz myself at work, which I was really proud of, which people seem to enjoy. So it's little stuff like that which can like connect like everyone together. I think in this period, in this time, we just have to just try like new stuff. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you just move on to the next thing to try and connect people together. I just have to try and test things.
100%, and it does kind of open the doors as to what does everything look like going forward for the working scenarios. A lot of companies are adopting the hybrid model. I think that's what we're going to be doing, but we're still obviously working out what that's going to be. Is it 3 and a 2 or a 2 and a 3, or is it just completely flexible? Is it fully remote for certain roles that can obviously accommodate that? But then you don't want to lose the office culture, which is hugely important as well, especially for creatives, but not just in from the creative camaraderie point of view, but even what you mentioned there is like from the production side. It's like you need people to be communicating super well. So there is things that can be done remotely effectively, but there's something definitely missing or different when you're not together, almost like in the trenches together in that office environment. And I think a lot of companies are just having to find ways to tackle it differently and just be open to trying things out. Is this working? Is it not working? Okay, let's try and get another solution that's gonna get everybody where they need to be and where they obviously want to be as well. But it seems like Playground has a pretty amazing culture, which is great to hear.
Yeah, it has really helped to like just feel settled at the company. I definitely feel like that. Hopefully others feel the same as well. yeah, I just think you just got to try and do the best that you can do as a company. And also like try not to force it as well, because some people just don't want to stay at the computers for an extra 2 hours and do a social
Sure.
afterwards. You know, I think the whole thing's called like Zoom fatigue. So and I think we can all definitely get too much of that after being online, you know, like all day. So
100%. So let's wind it back a little bit, because we've talked a little bit about where you are now at this amazing company, Playground Games, working on this amazing project that is very special to you. But one of your first roles was as a QA tester. You also did some work with Sony Studios as well. How did all of that kind of really begin for you, and then to start to chart the road towards where you are now as a producer?
I think it all started with my university course, really. I went to Bradford University. I did graphics for games and then changed to interactive systems and video game design. So I just wanted to make like my own like little games. It was actually then that I realized that I could actually be a producer. I think our final year group projects, a couple of us had a bit of a bunny, and I was able to help resolve it. And I think my friend said to me, maybe you should try being a producer. I was like, I actually kind of like this. So yeah, I kind of like went with that. And after uni, I went to go work at Sony for a couple of months on a contract base, which was really cool because I got to work on like loads of like little titles as well, little titles. It's Sony. So like I got to work on Killzone Mercenaries on the PS Vita, which was amazing. So that was like the first time I ever worked with a team and had like a lead that I could like, you know, ask questions and stuff. And yeah, it was awesome. And then I started to work on Invisimals as well, which was really cool because I think I actually kind of got to step up a little bit, not to like a senior QA, but just take a bit more responsibility. And I was working with XDev to kind of like talk to them about like just what they kind of like needed in the QA department. So like that was really fun. I think that was then when I really realized, okay, I actually really do like this whole producer stuff. So I'd always be asking them questions about, so tell me more about an external and internal producer. So yeah, like I think working at Sony definitely like helped kickstart my career, and then also made me realize what I wanted to do as well. I think a lot of people say like QA is a good way to get into production, which I think is true. But it's also not necessarily the case for everybody. You know, there is a really good career in QA as well, and a good way to work up your ladder. I just kind of went off and veered a different direction. But yeah, so I always really appreciate QA testers.
Yeah,
so I know what they go through.
A lot of unsung heroes in the QA department. It seems 100%. To be anyway.
Yeah.
So that must have been pretty awesome to get that kind of exposure, but also get that kind of extra responsibility, like you mentioned, because that can be so key, especially early in your career, where you start to. It's like when you get a bit more responsibility, it speaks volumes to, you know, not just the trust, but also that you're proving to your peers that actually, if I'm obviously really good at what I do, because they're now trusting me to take on more responsibility. And it allows you to develop into like that, the next stage of your career path, hopefully. Did you always know that you wanted to be in game development? Because obviously you mentioned your university course was graphics for games. And when I went to university, it was a long time ago, right enough. I'm showing my age, but you know, there wasn't anything for really that was obvious for game dev. So it sounds like that was always what you wanted to do. Bradford University had the facilities to, you know, have a curriculum around game development, and you were just like focused and you pursued it all the way.
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to be in the games industry since I was probably like even younger than a teenager. I think like most people these days, like I grew up with, I think my first console was a Sega Mega Drive, like playing like Sonic and Street Fighter and everything like that. And then, but I remember when I had my PlayStation 1 and I just wouldn't come off it all the time. I was just on it constantly, like, you know, like other kids will be like playing outside and such. And I'm just like, no, I want to stay in a dark room on my PlayStation.
Worrying the hell out of your parents as she should get out and get some fresh air or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, had that conversation with my parents as well.
Yeah, I was always told like just to get away from the screen, so I'll always be so close to it. But yeah, like I've always wanted to be in the games industry. I remember even when I was about like 12, 13, I even like started practicing making my own company, you know, what the logo was, like what the name was, what kind of games I wanted to make. I think like when I was quite younger as well, there was nothing really for video games. And like I went to an all-girls school, so everyone was just kind of like games, like go do something else, you know, and everyone always veering me in the direction of doing like graphics or art or something like that. But I was just so determined. I was like, no, I'm doing video games.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of quite a common misconception as well, right? It's not just the geeky coding side of games. It's incredibly skilled artists. It's incredibly skilled, you know, problem solvers that need to develop technologies to improve workflow, or whether it's a rendering engine or whatever it looks like. It's, you know, it's modeling, it's sculpting, it's such a vast array of skill sets that I think only in the past kind of maybe 10 years or so, the kind of non-gaming kind of wider audience are looking at games as a profession to be almost like the quote unquote, oh, that's actually pretty respectable. Whereas before it was like, games for a living? When are you going to grow up, sort of thing? It's just go make go lay steel or concrete or construction or something. Be a doctor or something. Whereas now there are so many amazing like professions within the you know, the game dev industry.
Yeah, I think like when I talk to my family about game dev, they're kind of like, they just sit there and they're kind of like, like they have no idea what I'm talking about. But I think they've really started to like respect like definitely like the work I do as well, because I kind of talk about it and, you know, like what kind of stuff I have to like go through. And I think people start to come around to the idea of like, you know, we like game devs don't just sit around playing games all day. Like that's not the job, you know, like we're actually pretty cool now, you know.
Exactly.
And and I think people are starting to realize that, which is cool though, because you know, I think the work that we do, like the games that everyone makes in this industry, like a lot of them are masterpieces, you know.
Yeah.
And it'd just be amazing for us just to get like more recognition for that, I think. And as time goes on, it seems to be the case, which is cool.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I was talking to some friends who weren't really familiar of how vast and how quick the technology has been advancing within like the big AAA spaces. And I was showing them some behind the scenes of some like The Last of Us and God of War and Red Dead Redemption and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, these look like full movie productions now, and they were blown away by like the motion capture studios and things like that. It's like what goes into crafting these incredible experiences. It's like, yeah, they are crazy productions nowadays. It is unbelievable what's going on. And a lot of the times as well now, you'll find like the most kind of pioneering advances in tech is spawning from the games industry. It's not necessarily big Hollywood movies, of which they are, I'm sure, still, you know, pushing through technical barriers and stuff like that. But video game development always seems to be constantly in this hamster wheel of technical breakthroughs all the time, and it's moving at such a fast rate. It's staggering, and it's no wonder that, you know, it's what, $160 billion or something like that global revenue, or as an industry or something. It's insane what's coming out of the gaming space nowadays.
I know, it is really amazing. And when you think about some games, they just seem like actual movies, like the quality of them.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes I'm just stunned. I'm absolutely stunned at like what we can do in this industry. I can't even imagine in 10 years time as well. And I was kind of thinking with the new consoles as well, like the people who make the games for them at first, they've only had those consoles for like about a year or two or something like that.
Yeah.
when people have had their hands on them for like 5 years, like just the quality is going to keep going up and up. And can't wait.
It's going to be staggering, because obviously Forza Horizon 5 was shown off at the big Xbox Expo just a few weeks ago, and the detail that Playground Games are putting into the cars, the Mexico environment, this huge sandbox playground, it's honestly staggering, the detail that they go to. Like, you can engage photograph mode and you think you're looking at a picture of a Lamborghini, and you get the perfect reflections, you get the perfect like the sound, the noise of the cars revving. And it always, this is the thing that always blows me away, blows my mind with Playground Games and the Forza series, is if you've got your camera on the bonnet of the car, the sound of the car is different. If you've got chase cam on, the sound of the car is different. If you're inside the cockpit of the car, like and behind the wheel, again, you get that slightly muffled because you're inside the car. So it must be a lot of fun to record all of this stuff, but all the different microphone positions to like authentically capture the sounds of these vehicles and everything, it's staggering. It's absolutely staggering.
Yeah, you can just see how much love goes into games like these.
Yeah.
And you can't help but not appreciate like the work of art as well.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I fangirl like over like everyone's games all the time. So I'm just like, look at that tiny detail. It's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing.
Well, that's the best part about, if you're working on something that you're so passionate about, you know that everybody is in that same headspace, and they're all going to give it their all to make sure that it's the best product that they can possibly make. And for most of the time, it absolutely shows whenever you pick up the controller and start playing the game. You're thinking, how is this possible? How did they do this? Like, what is this some kind of magic going on here to create this? It's just staggering, absolutely staggering.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, is it Miami Avalon?
It is, yes.
Tell me about this, because you're art director, and this is you founded this side studio. Is that correct? For some projects? It's basically like a really amazing side project. I've got a team of people as well who I work with. I actually started the company, I think, in about 2015. It was actually when I was out of the games industry for about a year or two. I just found it quite difficult to kind of get a job at that time as a producer. Mm-hmm. So I kind of thought, well, why don't I make my own game and show that I can produce on the game as well? I kind of used that as my portfolio, basically, because it's actually quite difficult, I think, anyway, to show your skills off as a producer. Without showing all your spreadsheets and, your budgeting and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, if I make a good game, then hopefully that will show that I've done it well in some way. Yeah. I kind of had a game idea, which was called Pandora, and I started searching on the internet for a couple of people to help me out. I managed to kind of get a group together, and we made the game. It took us quite a long time, so the game released last year. So it took us about 5 years, and it's out there at the moment. It's basically like a really polished demo for us, but it's basically like what we wanted to get out of it, which is like a really good portfolio piece for everyone. Everyone's been able to ship a game from start to finish, and that's exactly like what we needed to kind of showcase our talents, and then also for us to be able to kind of get jobs in the games industry as well. It was really cool, and everyone on it is absolutely amazing. There's a couple of people who have stuck around as well, because we're starting to work on our second game now. Fantastic.
Which is amazing, because I never thought I'd ever get this far, especially with my own company. Yeah. So I sometimes have to pinch myself to remember, like, oh yeah, I did this. Well, the team did this, not just me.
So what kind of game is Pandora then? And obviously, is it only on PC at the moment? How do you get your hands on it?
Yeah, so it's on Steam at the moment. Pandora Chains of Chaos, if you search for it in Steam. And it's an action-adventure RPG. It was like actually quite heavily based off like Kingdom Hearts, that series, and Final Fantasy X. I love like those types of games. Like they're all amazing, and it really inspired me just to make like a nice like hack and slashy game, but with a good story as well. Which is, I mean, everyone always told me it's too big, it's too ambitious. And I will only admit it now, but yes, it was. But I didn't let it put me off though. A lot of the time I just kind of went too big, like with the map, went too big with the design ideas I had. But I think over time, as I was in the games industry and I started learning more about how to actually schedule a project and, you know, how to work with like gameplay features and stuff like that, I started to really like scale it back down again. I probably redesigned the game probably about 3 times, which is not something people want to hear. But we kind of had to do it. Otherwise we just, we'd probably still be working on it to this day, to be honest. So we just ended up going with a really small map, just like a couple of quest lines, that kind of stuff. But it was great though, because like we learned so much from it. It was amazing. Yeah.
So can you talk to me about that process of, I want to start my own game development studio, to hiring, getting investors, if that was part of the process, to hiring staff, and then getting the project running, to essentially like delivering a game?
I'm not sure if this is the right way I did it, but I'll definitely give the way I did it.
So
it's a way. You don't definitely give it a whirl. So I think when I first started out, I made my GDD, which was probably about 10 pages long. I'd never made one before, so I was just kind of putting everything from my brain into this. And from then I kind of like figured out, okay, what do I need to make this game? Like how many people? I went onto the Unreal forums, Polycount forums, DeviantArt to find artists. IndieDB was a great source to find indie devs as well. And it was great because everyone's just so willing to want to help and everything. Had like loads of students come in to chat to me and help out on the project. I had like industry professionals helping out on the project as well, giving me direction and helping me out with stuff. So that was really awesome. And then I guess we kind of like just focused on what we wanted to do, which was to create a prototype of the game. So with Pandora, you get to jump around and float around on an umbrella. That's like the main core feature of the game. So we had to really kind of like nail that before we kind of like started kind of going out into everything else. Wanted to know how to make a quest line as well, because none of us had ever done that before. How do we write a story that's actually engaging too? So it's trying to like figure out who our audience is and everything like that. I tried to make a business plan. I failed. So I had to like go around and I asked like actually a lot of people from the industry who actually own their own companies. You know, I'd go to EGX, Play Expo, and talk to like loads of developers who had their games on stalls and just ask them like, how did you do this? And like, how was it that you got to the point that you're at the moment? And everyone's just like really helpful in that aspect. There's a lot of people who gave us so many tips as well, which was awesome. So as soon as we got the prototype running, we just took it to like a load of shows. One of the big ones was up north was Game Makers Yorkshire. Take it to that like twice like each year. And that really helps to like get feedback from everyone on how well the game was. Do people find it fun? So then it was just kind of taking it back to the team, making sure that we kind of address the feedback. And it's kind of like just rinse and repeat in that. I think then I kind of like started to realize like we were trying to make the game so perfect that the game would actually never come out. So then I just kind of ended up making an actual plan. I think by this time I'd probably been a producer for about a couple of years at that point, which really helped. And I think that's also probably why I kind of like, we redid the project a couple of times, because there was a lot more efficient ways of doing certain stuff. So it just ended up working out much better. We like redefined our art style. We kind of like, we knew what we wanted and we kind of went for it. So we had like basically a year plan. We aimed for it. I think we missed the date by like 3 months because we were right into the pandemic. But we ended up shipping last September time. So yeah, like we did it, we made it. I'm so happy.
So how wild was that to realize that you have shipped a video game from scratch? It's not like you had joined a big company or that was already in production, that already had, you knew that the funding was there, it was going to come out, but you were doing it all from scratch yourself. You put it together, and then it was actually on the Steam store page with credits and everything. How mind-blowing was that?
It was, do you know what, I don't think it actually sunk in until like a friend said to me, like, you've shipped your game, like, do you not feel anything at the moment? I think because like life was just kind of going by like times 20 at that point, like COVID, and then I was kind of going into my new job as well. It never actually sunk in that I had released a game like with my team. So yeah, like, I don't think it's even still sunk in. Sometimes I go to the store page and I'm like, that's my game. That's so cool. But yeah, I mean, I think like definitely this year I'd love to do like a retrospective on it, and even like a blog post just to kind of do what I'm doing right now and talk about my journey. And hopefully it would help other people as well.
Well, hey, if anytime you want to come back on the show and just take over entirely and do like a full case study breakdown, you are more than welcome to anytime.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah. It's just so fascinating to see, and of course inspiring to hear somebody who took the bull by the horns basically, and to say, you know what, finding a job in the industry is incredibly difficult. I'm not getting anything right now. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna do my own thing. And you went ahead and did that. And it sounds like it was an incredibly hard work. Maybe at times not knowing if it was actually going to be able to pull it off, get people interested to actually sign on to be a part of it as well. Must be incredibly challenging. So really developing like your sales skills as well to pitch the idea to various people. And but of course, also what seems to be incredibly encouraging is like how generous people are with their time and their knowledge to just want to talk about it. And I've noticed that a lot, just starting just this little podcast show, which in the grand scheme of things is tiny, it's completely insignificant. But I started it last year as part of our lockdown project, and everybody that I've managed to get on the show as a guest has just been so wonderful and generous that just wants to talk about their profession. And it's just such a wonderful experience to get to tap into that. It's amazing. So kudos to you for doing that as well. That launching a game, amazing, absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Well, I've got to give a massive shout out to my team, because without them, I definitely wouldn't be where I am at the moment. I probably could be in a totally different job, completely, if I never end up making Pandora. So, and luckily, for some reason, they're still sticking around for the second game. So I feel very honoured by that.
So tell me about the second game then, if you can. Is it in like pre-production at the moment, or is it way too far away? Are you just planning stuff at the moment, or is it in full swing? You know exactly what it's going to be and what you want to do with it.
So it's definitely going to be a puzzle platformer. So we've completely changed the type of game it is. We thought we'd go for something completely new this time. So I think the one good thing about continuing making games in our spare time under Miami Avalon is that we're just doing it now just for fun, and just to learn new stuff, just to put out like small projects, which is really awesome. And like it's really cool that I've got a team that I can do this with as well. But with Ascend, that's the name of the game, Ascend. And it's about, so this is very like work in progress, this may change. But we wanted to be about, the moon and the sun, and like a kind of like got a tribal thing like going on with that. And it's all about like ascending up a mountain, to find out more about yourself, and just kind of like just doing puzzles along the way as well. So each puzzle will kind of get you to the next level that will keep ascending you up.
It sounds really interesting. I can't wait to see more of it. I hope to one day see it on maybe Game Pass or something like that, because that would be pretty awesome. And it sounds like you guys know exactly what you're doing. You know what you want to do, and I guess maybe one of the luxuries of a smaller indie project is that you can maybe experiment a little bit more, and you're a little bit freer to pivot and change and just have hopefully a lot of fun just, experimenting with new tech and things that you've maybe seen you're getting influenced by, and drawing on that and making it a richer experience for ultimately the gamers that pick it up and want to play and hopefully fall in love with it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we've definitely seen a couple of things when we've been doing our research. Like, we've got a Discord channel it's called like link dumps, and we're constantly just putting everything in there that we see online. It's like, oh, maybe we should try this. Kind of have to put my producer hat on sometimes and just be like, okay, Nareice, right, stop now. Actually think about what you want to do with this game. But we're definitely in like this really fun phase where we just get to play around with like the art style that we're trying to achieve. And like one of our teammates is like just kind of focusing on like the puzzle ideas of like what she wants to create for this game as well. So it's really cool. And like, I think I forgot how fun this part is.
We froze just a little bit there, but we're back, so it's fine.
Oh, cool.
It's like, oh no, the show is frozen, it's going to crash, I'm going to lose this recording. Please don't, but I think we're fine.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, that's the thing. See, doing remote podcasting is so stressful at times because you just don't know if the technology is going to poop out on you. And the worst thing is when you've had a great podcast, a great chat with a really awesome guest, and something happens and you just lose it. And then you think, oh, well, at least I had a great conversation, but I can't share it with anybody now. I've got the memories, but that's about it.
Got the memories. That's the main thing.
I know. So what advice would you give to budding new would-be game developers, but also for anybody who has maybe got like a decent career already, but is not in the games industry space, but maybe want to migrate over? Is that just like a barrier that's just like really, really difficult to break down, or is it achievable?
I think it's definitely achievable. It's definitely doable. I think whatever industry you're in, you can definitely carry over some of your traits, some of the stuff that you already do in your current job over to the games industry. I'd recommend reaching out to someone who already works in the industry. Hopefully you might know someone. If you don't, try and go to like a networking event, have a look on Meetup or something like that. There's loads of different websites you can have a look at as well for like who's actually in the games industry. Just like reach out. Like, a lot of us are friendly, and a lot of us will respond as well. Or even just like reaching out on Twitter as well. Twitter is a great way just to connect with people and ask questions. Using like the gamedev hashtag as well. Will definitely get you some responses, because everybody wants to help everyone. At the end of the day, the more people that we bring into this industry from other industries, I think it shows like different ways of working, because maybe the way that we all currently work at the moment, it could always be improved. So just reach out. Just reach out to us on Twitter.
Honestly, it's how I get all my guests on Twitter. It's like usually people I don't know, so I really kind of brazenly and kind of sheepishly say, "Hey, do you want to be on a podcast?" And you don't know anything about me, but it'd be kind of cool to hear your thoughts. And thankfully, having the benefit of a few shows behind me, people can check it out, and because usually it's an instant like no, or they just ignore you. But because there's a little bit of a history there, by showing examples, it's worked out pretty successfully. But 100%, like, people are just so generous on Twitter, or if it's a LinkedIn kind of message, or just the social media space, it's like people are just like buzzing to usually talk to anybody about like what it is that they do, and whether it's like a solution to something, or to help somebody overcome something, or get into the game dev space, whatever it looks like. It's like that's my kind of takeaway at the moment of we're over 50 shows deep now. It seems to be everybody's just like super enthusiastic about sharing and wanting to make the game dev space like richer, so much better, and learning from each other. And it does really seem like, as vast as the game industry space is, it genuinely feels like a small knit community, even though it is hundreds, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands maybe of like people within that space, over all walks of life, all disciplines. But it really does feel like it's like everybody knows each other and is looking out for each other, and that's just incredible for an industry of this size. That is wild, really wild.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So Nareice, where can people get in touch with you before we wrap up the show? To with any questions, or they want to reach out with you, reach out to you about anything that we've discussed, advice, like mentorships or whatever. Where can they get in touch with you?
Well, Twitter, just find me. It's just Nareice, and also LinkedIn as well. Nareice Wint on there, and yeah, that's pretty easy. You can just message me anytime, and I'll always reply.
Excellent. And stay tuned for the sequel to Pandora, because that will be coming out at some point, I'm sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to the first trailer. I can't wait. So everybody, thank you very much for tuning in to this special episode of the Weekend Catch-Up Club podcast. I've been joined by the brilliant Nareice Jade Wint of Playground Games, who is a producer on Fable, one of my all-time favorite franchises. I can't wait to see more of that over the next coming months and into next year. But anyway, take care, everybody. If you've enjoyed this podcast, do remember to give us a like and a follow. Help us support the channel so we can get more amazing guests on for conversations such as these. But until next time, guys, take care. Bye-bye.